about how you guys met?
Who started? Okay.
I mean,
Go ahead.
Jamie, you go.
Well, you know, good old Bumble came in handy this time. It worked out in our favor. I had been on the apps for probably a couple months, and I got a super swipe from Derrick over here, which was nice.
So
and then everything, yeah, super swipe works. And then everything about his profile, I think, is what stood out the most, right? Like really good energy, really good photos, the way everything was laid out. And I just had a really good feeling. I was really hoping that he would respond to my message, and that we were able to meet. I had a good feeling about everything.
Oh, I love it. I love it. That is so cool. And so, you know, Derrick, I know that you had done a video as you were going through the dating process, and I'm curious about your transition from dating different women and then getting into a relationship. And like, did you just know right away that this was different? This was special?
I would not say that I knew right away. I actually wasn't sure if Jamie liked me after our initial meet. She played a little cool, and there was actually a bit of a delay between our first meet and our first, I guess, like date officially. She had some personal stuff going on, and she let me know. So I wasn't really sure. As far as transitioning from dating multiple people to you know, picking Jamie, I knew I could tell things were, I could tell we had really good chemistry. And yeah, the more time I spent with her, the more I was sure. It did take me a little bit longer to get rid of the other people that I was talking to than it took Jamie. Jamie told me that she knew very quickly and got rid of anyone she was talking to pretty fast. I think it took me, you know, more than a month. But yeah, I mean, I knew that our chemistry was really, really good. I knew that I liked her. I did have some personal things to work through as far as being ready for more of like a committed relationship kind of thing. But yeah, what I really liked about meeting Jamie and how it's gone so far is that we've been able to communicate really well about all that. And Jamie's been super understanding, and we've just kind of let things unfold naturally without kind of putting too much pace or terms around it.
I love it. I love that.
Yeah. I'll add to that. He's right. Like the first time we met was great. You know, I think everybody's always a little bit cautious when they first meet somebody. I think that we had a great connection. I didn't realize till he told me that he wasn't sure that I liked him until he let me know. And then, yeah, we scheduled an actual date, and then I canceled on him because of my personal stuff. And then like 2 weeks later, I messaged him and I was like, hey, I'd still love to go to dinner, like hoping that he would still want to meet. And he said yes. So then I think ever since then, it's worked out really well.
I love it. Wow. So how did you bounce back from that, Derrick? You obviously didn't say the wrong thing when she crushed you.
Well, you know, it's a large part of thanks to your program and the stuff that you teach your clients. You know, before I used to think kind of negatively about guys that were talking to multiple women. I never really dated as an adult much, which is why I came to you for help. And so it was really helpful that it wasn't like Jamie was the only person I was talking to and I was like waiting by the phone, hoping that she'll call me back. I had other things distracting me. So, I mean, I definitely liked her and I wanted to see her again. But it was, you know, it wasn't too difficult to say, hey, sounds like you're busy, sounds like you have stuff going on. Hit me up when you're ready, and then we'll take it from there. And so it was no big deal.
I love it. I love it. What'd you guys end up doing for your first date?
I took her to Sugarfish in Marina Del Rey, which is my favorite sushi restaurant. Jamie likes
very
sushi.
Good. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
We went there. I took her to go get some ice cream afterwards, and
You used a wingman. I guess you could call it a wingman.
I drive a Model Y, and it has a fun feature in it that it can simulate a fireplace. Like you can put like a digital fire on the screen, and then it makes the air conditioning behave like it's like there's like a fire there. So it'll like, push out warm air and stuff. And so I asked Jamie, do you want to see something cool, while we were in the car eating ice cream? And she said, yes. So I put on the fire, and it was a little corny, but in a good way. And it does this thing where when you press the button once and it shows the fire. You press the screen one more time and it plays one of like a random song from some romantic song playlist.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't press it. I said,
you told me to press it.
I said, do you want to see something cool? She saw the fire and she's like, wow, that's so fun, I guess. And then I said, hey, like, you want to see the cool? She said, yeah. To press it. So she presses it. What was the song? It was the perfect song.
Kenny G.
No, Take My Breath Away. Yeah.
It played Take My Breath Away, and I looked at her and we laughed and we had a moment, and that was when we shared our first kiss. Was to that fire, to that song. It was perfectly corny in the best way.
Yeah.
And,
oh my
god.
God.
That was pretty much our date.
I love it. So get the Model Y is what I'm hearing.
It's a good romance wingman. That's what it does.
Right? Yeah. I love that. Oh my goodness. I love that. So tell me, Jamie, you said that his Derrick's profile really stood out to you. What in specifically was different about his profile? And also, like, just, you said you had really good chemistry. What was different about Derrick's approach? Aside from the fireplace thing, which is awesome.
Yeah. I'm a big believer in like energies that people give off. And I think that you can definitely do that in a dating profile. And as you know, there are lots of different things that we see and have to scroll through as women on the dating apps. Something that really stood out for me for Derrick was one, all of his pictures were good. He was looking at the camera. He was smiling. He looked happy. You'd be surprised how many photos men don't look happy in their photos. So he was happy. There was no sunglasses. There was no bathroom or gym selfie. There wasn't like the, cliche things where there's always a couple in there. So he was smiling and he looked happy, and his energy just looked good and vibrant. His prompts were great, but I think that's what stood out the most with the photos afterwards was his beginning bio was purely his values. He listed his values first, which I personally aligned with several of them. And then his likes were just a list of likes. They were just like this, comma, this, comma. And so I skimmed through it to be like, yes, Rick and Morty, yes, chess, yes, wine drinker, yes, dog lover, like whatever it was, I was like, oh, this is great, right? So it made me want to look at it more and scroll more and like take a look at everything, and looked at his music at the end, and I was just like, yes, like this guy has great energy. He seems happy, like his values align. There's a lot of things that line up. Like I really want to meet this person. So I typically find, as the women have to initiate, like I find something that like I can speak to, which was chess, and had stated like, I love to play chess. Like it's been a long time. I'm really rusty. And he had replied back very quickly saying, let's play over coffee. Like I'll spot you a handicap. So the immediate confidence of like wanting to meet me right away, like acknowledging that, like already asking for it was attractive to me. And then he was like, I said, okay, yeah, let's do it. And then he's like, can I get your number so we can get off the app? Which is like not something I normally do, right? Like I don't usually give my number till after the first coffee meet. And I was just like, yes. Like I just like immediately had felt safe. And I was like, yes, there's a good vibe and a good energy, and I would like to meet him. And that's what we did. When we went to coffee, we played like 3 rounds of chess. It was like the best I could have asked for on the first time we met.
Oh my God, I love that. Who won the chess games?
Definitely Derrick. I'm super rusty. I needed the handicap.
She didn't want the handicap.
I didn't. I wouldn't take it for the first couple times.
Nice.
You got to see the competitive in me and wanting to yeah, not take it unless I really had to. Yeah.
Right. I love that. Oh my gosh. So when did Derrick tell you that he had worked with a dating coach or had been in a program? And how did you feel about that?
Probably, I don't know, was it maybe like 3 or 4 dates in? I think he started to mention, maybe not the full story, but started to mention some of the tips that he had learned. I think it started with talking about the profile, because we probably got into conversation of like why like I was attracted to the profile and he mentioned to me some of the things that he had learned, and it was kind of like a light bulb. Like I was like, oh, that makes sense. Like the things that you've learned are 100% of the reason why I was like, yes, like, right. Like I want to meet this person and I want to talk about it. And so there was a lot of exchange of conversation talking about some of those tips. And it was very much like, she's absolutely right. Yes, that is 100% true. Yes, women do not feel safe when they see this. And there was a lot of, I think, like validation on both sides to talking about that. I'll let him speak more to that as well, but.
I love it. And I love that you felt like safe to share that also, Derrick. Like that speaks to the connection that you guys have and the transparency, and that's awesome.
I mean, I can imagine that not all your clients are forthcoming about that, or maybe they're a little embarrassed or shy about it. But my experience with sharing that I hired a dating coach at some point has been pretty universally well received by women.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's been like maybe 1 or 2 that kind of was like questioning at first, like, is this a good or a bad thing? But overall, Jamie in particular, very supportive, thinks it makes sense. It's
Yeah.
Jamie's position was that she likes that I took the topic seriously enough to go get, a coach or a professional help.
Yeah.
It's not really something that anyone would blink at if it came to weight loss or some kind of sport or whatever. Coaches exist for all kinds of things. So I'm pretty comfortable with it. I'm not really embarrassed to tell people. It's not exactly something that I'm parading around or not something that I'm going to say on the first day, but it's definitely not something that I'm embarrassed of. It actually fits my profile as a person, which is I'm somebody that, is self-observant. And when there's something that I want to work on, that I'm going to try very hard to work at it, whether that's practicing or researching or hiring help. It just kind of makes sense in the context of who I am.
I love it. Yeah. I feel like the most successful people in life have the most support and then are open to learning and growing. And it's been so cool to watch your journey. And obviously it totally paid off. And you guys, like, you're so cute. What are some of the, first I wanted to know, Derrick, what are some of the things that stood out to you about Jamie, both in her profile and also on the dates themselves?
So on the profile, Jamie's got a great headshot. I mean, I like girls with big eyes. Jamie's got big eyes. I just have kind of preferences for people's style, and she definitely also had like the profile was giving off more of like a laid back, down to earth type of energy, which is something that I was interested in looking for. So that right away, just her face being the type of face that I like, and her energy being the kind of energy that I liked. That was what attracted me to her profile. As far as in person, it's hard to put into words because it's more of a feeling that I'm looking for. But when I met her in person, I felt really comfortable and I felt that she was really easy to talk to. And I found that what she had to talk about was relatively interesting, which is, not every time you meet somebody new, you get to know each other, is the conversation fun and interesting. So right off the bat, I really appreciated that, her hobbies and her interests were interesting to me. That mattered because that wasn't always the case on these dates that I was going on. And the more time we spent together, the more I realized, that our values aligned. And maybe calling it our values aligned is underselling it, because we found that like we're just very similar people in terms of our general preferences, our music taste, how we react to certain situations, or even our favorite flavor of Gatorade. I don't know how people can but there's just it's been really the word that we use to describe our dynamic is like effortless and natural.
Effortless. Yeah.
And it really, Emily, I'm sure you know about love languages. We figured out on the first date that our love language compatibility was like dead on in terms of
Exact.
we're both coming from relationships where the love languages weren't lined up as well. And so we knew what they were. And so I asked her, what love languages do you speak and which ones do you receive? And she asked me the same questions, vice versa. And we found that it was like a direct, like the languages that she spoke were the ones that I wanted to receive. And the ones she wanted to receive were the ones that I spoke. And so being together and making each other happy has been effortless and natural.
I love it. That is so cool. And I wonder do you feel like you would have been able to recognize how powerful the connection was without having the experience of maybe the mismatches, like, different women that you were dating that you could tell that it just wasn't aligned or it was difficult or it was,
Well, there's no way. I mean, I didn't even know what love languages were until like I had to be at a low point in my previous relationship to even want to find out what something like that was and to learn that material. And so I hope this isn't sharing too much, but Jamie also has, like, we have similar relationship histories in that we came from one particularly long relationship. And so I think even that was a bonding experience for us because it seems like a lot of the lessons that I learned in having a relationship seem to be similar to lessons that she learned, probably because we were both in a singular, really long committed relationship. So yeah, I would definitely say it's not a coincidence that, some of these shared ideas that we have about relationships probably has to do with the similar relationship history.
So cool. It's so cool how, especially when you describe it as easy and effortless, a lot of times then as the relationship progresses, even over years, you're like, oh my gosh, I had no idea we had this in common, but it's really deeply rooted in shared commonalities and core values. And I love hearing that. That is so cool. What adventures have you guys done so far? And what's on your bucket list for the future?
We've done a handful, I think, so far. Just trying different things. He's invited me to a couple of different things of events. We've talked about doing some together. I think something that I really value about our effortless relationship is that we like to enjoy and experience different things or type of events. And that we both seem really adaptable to wanting to do that. So like I'm an adaptable person. I have different groups of friends that I do different things with. He seems to be very similar in that. And so we're like, well, let's try some of these things together. One of them was kind of, I guess, feeling out how well we would travel together. And he invited me to Big Sur to go watch him run his marathon, which was super exciting. So I was looking forward to being supportive and like cheering him on and be a part of that, but it still turned into like a great, like 3 or 4 days that we got to spend together in a mini trip that was local and fun. And I feel like that just, that alone had already kind of bridged the gap of bringing us closer and like strengthening a lot of the connection that we had already felt. And then since then we've spent different weekends doing different things. We've had many, nights in and dinner in. Derrick's a really great cook. So luckily he cooks for me all the time, which is exciting. And we've done things like Renaissance fairs. And then recently, I think we also went to a music festival. We learned to see if we can get along and work well and enjoy the same type of experience that we both have done before alone in music festivals that I think also turned out really well. And he can add to that if there's more.
Yeah, I took Jamie to Lightning in a Bottle a couple weeks ago, and Big Sur was the Do We Travel Well test, and Lightning in a Bottle I think was the Can We Party Well Together test.
Yeah,
and I can tell you we can. we absolutely can.
Nice.
That one was fun. Yeah, the Renaissance Fair was fun. We got dressed up. We went out there and rented some costumes, and we have some photos of us looking medieval and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, we have more things planned. I think we were potentially going to do something international this summer, but it's been busy for me. We're going out to a lantern festival in October. We are going to Red Rock Amphitheater for Halloween to see one of my
Yeah.
favorite artists,
Who's playing?
Mark Rebier.
Okay.
We're actually
Yeah.
planning a couple's costume. I'm going to dress up as Mark Rebier, and she's going to dress up as a keyboard.
I
And
love
then
it.
I'm going to be Mark Rebier playing the keyboard.
Love it.
And yeah, it's just, I mean, every weekend that we spend together, I'm trying to think of something interesting that we can do. And we both kind of share that, I guess, like general interest in just like doing stuff and just having a good time doing interesting things. And so, yeah, whenever we have the time, it's like, what should we do? I think we had our first normal date like last week, which was just dinner and a movie. But I've been seeing Jamie for like 5 months, and it's the
movie.
the first dinner and a movie date that we've had yet.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
How'd it go?
It went
Jamie,
great. Yeah, no, it went great. It was a lot of fun. I think when we were sitting in the theater or on our way to theater, we were like, oh, this is the first movie we've seen together. Like, it's like the first, like, most basic date that we've had. Because yeah, I think we like to go experience things and do things. And even if there are weekends that are a little bit more mellow, like I think what I value is that we just really enjoy being around each other and each other's company. If we're doing something or doing nothing, it kind of also just seems to feel really good and very just natural to be around each other, like, for periods of time through the weekends that we get to see each other.
Oh, I love it. I'm so happy for you guys. You guys are awesome. This is so cool.
You.
Thank you for taking the time to share. Is there anything that you would want people to know about just your experience in this whole process, this whole dating thing?
Maybe I'll speak back to the investment, right? Like we have a very like transparent and like authentic style of communication. So we're very honest with each other. We're very open. And so when he first told me about seeing the dating coach, to me, like I was very like impressed and attracted about that, because it means he took something to heart, put an investment towards it like any other program, and then found value enough to share it with me. And so I would hope that more people or more men would be willing to get some of these things to help them along, because I think they're easy mistakes to make that, kind of set the tone for how everything's going to go. And it only takes a few things to just at least get that initial meet to then work through all the other skill sets, like you would learn a language or you would learn any other program. So I think it's very valuable, and I think that more women would speak to it if they knew about it.
Oh, I love that. I love hearing that. Yeah, it's funny. Like, it's just a skill that we don't get taught in school. So how are you going to know unless you have Don Juan as your dad, right? You're not going to know. So I think
train the muscle.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I wish I had had a coach when I was single. I did so many things wrong. Yeah, but that's great. That's great to hear that. And I love that you guys are open and communicative about how you're improving your lives, and that you're so aligned in all these areas. It just makes me really happy to see. And it's always really cool to get to meet the girlfriend. So thank you for being here.
Cool. I got something to add for your viewers. I really appreciate what you and your program have done for me, because I think it's obvious that me and Jamie are a really good fit, but dating apps are hard, especially for men. They're really counterintuitive. Like, I think what men naturally think will work or is the best way to find their person really isn't, because a lot of what the advice I took from you, Emily, a lot of it wasn't intuitive to me. Like, I was like, really, is this going to work? Like, this doesn't seem like what would make sense. But all of the things that I wasn't sure about, when you talk to someone like Jamie, it's like, those are specifically the things that spoke the most. So it's just, that taught me was that almost all of my instincts naturally of what would appeal to the person I'm looking for were wrong, right? And the reality was that people like Jamie, who are good for me or a good match for me, were out there, but I was not using the apps correctly. So I was getting in my own way. Like I was not able to use these apps to connect to the people that I'm looking to connect with. So that's the biggest takeaway I could take from the program is, you know, it's not that a dating coach service is teaching you to be a different person. It's teaching men to market themselves in a way that actually works in 2023, because however they were doing it before, it's not the same anymore. And so if the guys can figure out how to broadcast who they are more effectively, that's all you're teaching them. How to show, how to do that effectively in 2023 so that you can find someone who's a good match for you, because you didn't change anything about who I am. You just made it easier for someone like Jamie to find me.
Yeah, it's like SEO for humans. You're searchable now.
Yeah.
She found you, which is great. I love it. Oh, that's a really good way to put it. And I think, you know, if you really understand the apps and how to set them up and how to, you know, speak not only a woman's language, but just to showcase what makes you unique, these are the most powerful tools we've ever had access to ever. And so many people hate them. I'm like, man, if you just knew how to set it up, it's the coolest thing.
I mean, it's not just how to set it up, it's that I don't think guys understand like the photo thing, right? The looking at the camera and smiling thing, right? I think guys instinctively would think that looking cooler is better because they don't understand that from the woman's perspective, it's more about feeling safe initially, at least. So it's they know they can figure out how to use the apps, but they don't understand how to design their profile so it appeals to women. I just think that type of thinking isn't intuitive to all the guys out there, and I think it's very normal for them to need, I don't want to say need help, but they would do better if they had help.
Yeah.
And understanding what it's like from the other side.
Yeah. I know when I talk to men and we talk about safety and stuff, it's like this never crosses their mind that something could be dangerous. And it's something that we think about as women all the time, right?
24/7.
Right? Yeah. Oh, that's so well said. Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for being here and taking the time. And I'm so excited to see how your relationship progresses, and just so cool to have you guys share your story. So thank you so much.